Evolution is the process by which populations of organisms adapt to their surroundings and develop from earlier life forms.
Go. So we call it evolution. It's natural selection. It is the specific theory that Darwin came up with, and there's essentially 4 points that you need to know about this. The first one is there's going to be variation in a population. What we're going to have over here is we're going to have over reproduction, and then we're going to have competition. Okay? And then what essentially is going to happen over here is that we're going to have some sort of a descent with modification that results from these 3. So if you have variation, that just basically means you're going to have different types of individuals that will be within one population. They're not all going to have the same characteristics. Over reproduction essentially means that they may produce more organisms than are actually going to survive. And so because of this, you'll end up with a competition for food and resources, which essentially means that those that have the traits that are most favorable to the environment are more likely to survive. And so these are going to end up producing more individuals that look like themselves, yet you're still going to have some variation built into this. Okay? And that variation is then going to over reproduce, and those with the traits that are most favorable will then compete. They will reproduce themselves, and the process happens over and over again until what we get is something we call descent with modification. And that descent with modification essentially is saying that as the environment changes, we have a gene pool here that has variation, the environment is going to change what the population looks like over time. And that could be something that happens very quickly, or in some cases, and that's what we generally call punctuated equilibrium. And in some other cases, thought is that things change maybe very quickly, or that there'll be many versions of it as it goes. And in this case, there's not so many. Okay?
Got it.
There are 5 main agents for evolutionary change. These include mutation, gene flow, non-random mating, genetic drift, and selection. Mutations arise from changes in the DNA. These changes might result in either no change in the physical expression or a change that might be either advantageous or disadvantageous. Stephen here has a mutation on his 5th chromosome, which contains the student gene. This mutation is beneficial and has provided him with the ability to concentrate over long periods of time and retain most to all of the information that he may encounter. Shazel, on the other hand, is missing the gene altogether. As a result, he does not have the capacity to study and excel at school. Instead, he plays around and is never focused on studying. Same with Murtaza. Rashab and Ethan, however, have the normal gene, which is neither advantageous nor disadvantageous.
Natural selection affects evolution. Certain organisms have the best chance at reproducing. It's because of the change in the climate, food, and all the predators. So you know that nature favors all of the better ones. These animals have the traits that just be straight up advantages. They are the ones that live, they can survive all the damages. They got the food on lock, yeah, they got the sandwiches. Plus they get all of the girls, yeah, you know that they got the baddest shit. Eventually most of the animals gon' have the best of the traits. They gon' survive and live better in every way. We see that Steven uses his time to study in school, and Shazel is trying to accomplish his dream of professional hoops. But Shazel don't pay no attention. He's not even worth a dimension. He don't know any dissections. We all know that Steven's the best one. His traits gon' live like the Simpsons. He don't mess around when he's testing. MVP like Stephen. I hope that you got the essence.
There are 3 types of selection: directional, disruptive, and stabilizing. Directional selection favors one extreme, disruptive selection favors both extremes, and stabilizing selection favors the middle. The selection that takes place in school is directional selection. The students like Stephen, which have a great work ethic and constantly maintain high grades and retain all the information, are the ones that tend to be more successful later in life.
Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium is when a population maintains constant allele frequencies from generation to generation. This can only occur when there is an extremely large population, random mating, isolation from other populations, no natural selection, and no net mutations. If one of these conditions are not met, evolution will take place. Since almost no population can meet all of these conditions, evolution is always taking place. After playing a quick game of basketball with Shazil, Rashab realizes that if he is to succeed in life and survive, he must study. So he stops and hopes to make up for the lost time. Stephen, however, has been constantly studying, never taking a break.
Genetic drift is also a major cause of evolution. This involves chance events. The two types of genetic drift are the founder effect and the bottleneck effect. The founder effect is the result of a small part of a population is separated and starts a new colony. The bottleneck effect is the result of a disaster that drastically reduces the number of organisms in a population, which then recovers and expands. The final exam is a major cause of genetic drift in schools. After the test, only the few who have survived go on and struggle through college and eventually produce offspring similar to them. The test is a natural disaster, but it also selects against those who have not prepared for it, like Murtaza and Shazil.
Alright, let's get this. Man, I don't need this. I'm gonna be a basketball star. I'm gonna sleep.
Shazil thinks that it is just a joke and that he can become a professional athlete, but he can't.
Shab, you can't guard me. Little kid, stop trying.
So hard. How do you? Dang.
Woo! Check me out. I'm gonna be in the NBA. They can't. They can't stop me.
Stephen is the most prepared, and he flies through the test. He's also disappointed with Murtaza and Shazil for sleeping during the test.
People like Rashab and Ethan struggle and survive, but they are not the most fit. The test is not that easy for them. They have to take their time, be patient, and work out every problem slowly.
Eventually, one day in the future, the population would have evolved so that majority of the organisms would have the advantageous student gene, and they would be much more like Stephen, and much more different than Shazil. Stephen does not only do well in school, but he's also amazing at anything else he does.
Maybe finish him off real quick. Oh, Jesus, my arm.
Okay.
No, I stood in the perfect spot. I'm scared. Make me well.
He said I was in a miss, but I don't miss.